Let's look at number 2 first. We're going to skip number 1. I'm going to leave that for you to do for practice if you want. So let's read number 2. Okay. Mia has 36 forks and 24 knives in her silverware drawer. What is the ratio of knives to forks in the drawer? Okay, so here it's stating that there's 36 forks and 24 knives. And the question is asking, what is the ratio of knives to forks? Not forks to knives, not the other way around. It's knives to forks. So we're going to write 24 to 36 instead of 36 to 24 because the question wants it. Knives to forks. So 24 to 36. So that's the unsimplified version. And all of these answers here are the simplified versions. So we're going to simplify this. So we already know that both 24 and 36 are divisible by 12. So if we divide both of them by 12, right, then we get 24 divided by 12, 2, and 36 divided by 12, 3. So in this case, the answer would be B, 2 to 3. C would not be an answer because 5 is a miscalculation. You should not be getting 5 as an answer. D is a miscalculation. Once again, has 5. Just by looking at it, you know it's not that one. And if you chose A, you are incorrect because it wasn't asking the ratio of forks to knives. It was asking the ratio of knives to forks. So they try to trick you in these types of questions, so be sure you are reading the question carefully and looking at all the details. So no, this would not be an answer. Then we have number 3. So in number 3, there are 50 empty seats on the bus and 20 passengers. What is the ratio of passengers to empty seats? Okay, so there's 50 empty seats and 20 passengers. So once again, they switched the order. It's not empty seats to passengers. It's passengers to empty seats. So you would write 20 to 50 instead of writing 50 to 20. Okay, this is the unsimplified version. To simplify it, we know that both of them are divisible by 10. So 20 divided by 10 is 2. 50 divided by 10 is 5. So the correct answer would be A, which is 2 to 5. It wouldn't be 3 to 5 because we don't get 3 when we divide 20 by 10. It wouldn't be 2 to 3 because we don't get 3 when we divide 50 by 10. And 3 to 2 is just completely off. Okay, let's look at number 4. So the perimeters of 2 squares are 16 and 20 inches. What is the ratio of the lengths of their sides? Okay. So we have, let me draw it out for you guys so it's a better visual for you to understand. If you don't know what perimeter is, it's when you add up the length of each side of the square. So if, let's say this was 2, it would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and that would be 8. But here, we have 16, and we have 4 sides because it's a square, 4 equal sides. So 16 divided by 4 would just be 4. So each side would be 4. Knowing this, A and C are immediately eliminated because it's 5, not 4. Then we're going to draw the square with a perimeter of 20 inches. And once again, there are 4 sides, so just divide 20 by 4, and we get 5. So each side should be 5, 5, and 5. And again, if you add them all up, you should get 20. So immediately now we know that B is not the answer and D should be the answer because each length of the 16-inch perimeter square is 4 and each length of the sides of the 20 inch perimeter square is 5. So lastly, let's look at number 6. Okay. There are 12 Americans, 8 Italians, and 10 Germans in an international science team competition. So it's asking, what is the ratio of Italians to Americans? Just for reference, I want to draw a star next to them so you don't get confused. In this question, they're not looking for Germans, so we're going to ignore that. And note that it's asking the ratio of Italians to Americans, not Americans to Italians. So make sure you don't get these two messed up. So always, to keep my head clear, I like to write it down with the original numbers so I don't get confused. So the ratio of Italians, which is 8, so I wrote 8 here. And then it's saying to Americans, so there are 12, so I wrote 12 here. So that's the unsimplified version. Of course, all of these options are the simplified version. So we're going to simplify. So we know that 8 is divisible by 4, which is 2. And we know 12 is divisible by 4, which is 3. So immediately we know that the answer is C. And remember, we didn't mix up the Italians to Americans and make it Americans to Italians, so A would not be the option. It would be if you messed these two up, if you wrote this the other way around. So A is not immediately not an option. B is not an option. That's not a right calculation because it has 5 in it. D is not a right option because it has 5 in it. That's a miscalculation. So we immediately know that the ratio 2 to 3 is the option. Also, if it's hard for you to immediately think that 8 is divisible by 4, which is the highest number that both 8 and 12 are divisible by, if you can't think of the highest number of both the ratios, it's always okay to say, hey, 8 is divisible by 2, 12 is divisible by 2. So that gives us 4 to 6, and then we know that 4 to 6 is both of them are divisible by 2. So ultimately we get 2 to 3. It's just what you prefer. If you go the shorter way, which is smaller numbers, it's going to take much more time and more dividing to get to the simplified version. But if you know that this is the highest number that both the numbers and the ratio are divisible by, then you can get the answer much quicker. So it's up to the person's personal choice if they want to take the longer or the easier way.